Hello y'all on YouTube, this is Rob with Rob's Nerdy Knives. Today we're doing a review impressions of a knife that was given to the channel by an awesome subscriber, channel member. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for this generous gift. This is a knife that will be in a giveaway on a Monday night, and some lucky subscriber will be winning. So hopefully they will see this video before or after they won the knife and will enjoy this. This is a really cool knife. This is a Tempest Knives. It's designed by KC Spiron. Tempest Knives, the manufacturer I believe is Kubi for this particular knife, which is really nice. This particular knife is a pretty cool design by him. And let's talk a little bit about this. The material is black micarta, which just feels like a sort of a burlap kind of micarta here. It is a captive pivot. It is a reversible pocket carry clip, which is left and right hand ambidextrous, which is really nice. It has a wire clip. It has that kind of a, not my favorite clip. I like the one that kind of goes up just shortly, but this will work. It sometimes gets in the way, that kind of thing. But yeah, very comfortable, rounded everything. Nothing sharp around this knife at all, especially with this steel liners in here. A lot of weight relief on the steel liners, if you can see that. So a lot of cutout. Has a back spacer, not standoffs, with a little pin here for the lanyard. If you want to put a lanyard on here, you can absolutely attach that as well. The blade steel is 14C, where are you? There you are, 14C 28N. So great budget steel, especially for a knife that's $80. And I believe if you go to Tempest Knives, he still has some of these for sale. Definitely go check it out. I think it's absolutely worth checking out. I think it's a great knife and something worth going to look at. So this is the Microburst. A great budget knife, definitely under $100, so you know where that falls in. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Has thumb studs, volcano kind of thing, which is very comfortable. The cutaway here works really nice. Guide your finger in exactly where you want to go, both for front and reverse flicking. Action is fantastic, left and right-handed as well. It is a liner lock, engages really well, about 40–50%. No blade rocks, and they're solid. I love that. What we call it, pivot lash, or pivot lash. And then here's the detent. Let's listen. Nice click on the detent, no detent lash. Dead center, dead nut center, so that's really nice for this particular knife. I really do like the design. I love the pivot and the design on that pivot. I think it's just great. Minimal hardware, the little Tempest logo, the steel over here, and that is it. Very simple. Everything's nice and chamfered all the way around, so nothing sharp. Steel liner, steel that. I believe this is a titanium backspacer. Let's double check that. Yeah, it's a titanium backspacer, which is nice. Definitely does a little bit of weight relief. Beautiful flat grind. I don't know what you call this. It's probably a sheep's foot. This is what I would probably call a sheep's foot for sure. You can call it modified, whatever. Some people call it, I think he listed it as a tall drop sheep. I don't know what that is. I mean, it's a sheep's foot, maybe a modified sheep's foot. I don't know. He calls it a modified sheep's foot. Well, that's fine. I think it's a sheep's foot. So beautiful. That works really well. I love the stone wash, which is always great to hide when you're using a knife and stuff like that. Nice swedge, which is great for turning cuts. So that's always great on having that on the design. The thumb studs work really well. The liner works really well. Great cutaway in there. Really nice. There's no chamfering on here, but you know what? You don't need it. It's nice and it's not sharp. Easy to get to, easy to drop. I love the big sharpening tool here. It does drop on the finger. No problem with guillotining your finger, so that's really nice. And, you know, the thumb studs work really well. Now, here's a flat grind. You have what I call a bonus flick. So, get in there and get your bonus flick. Now, my finger's a little slippery there, but you can get that nice bonus flick if you like. I always like that, having bonus flicks. So that to me is like, I use my middle finger on the flat part of the grind. It does a nice reverse flick. So that's always, to me, kind of cool. It is mainly a thumb stud deployment and that kind of deployment. And if you want to use your middle finger, get in there and do the reverse flick. So that works well. So, I mean, it's limited, but, you know, for what it does it really well. You know, it's meant to be a small, utilitarian, very good use knife, and I think it does that. So we'll talk about that more. All right, so how does it close? The close is great. Good action, drop, really smooth. I think Skiff washers would probably work really nice in here and make it even smoother than it is already. And that's certainly an option, you know, especially whoever has this knife. If this was my knife, I would probably do so, but this is a giveaway knife. So the person who gets this has the option to put some Skiff washers in there for sure, right? So that would be cool. It is a liner lock. The liner lock works great. Steel on the steel. There's no lock stick. Works really great. Good angle on the blade. You know, gives everything nice and solid in place. So let's go ahead and do some measurements on this knife. Let's weigh it. All right, so this knife weighs in at 3.17 ounces, which is not bad. 3.17 ounces, pretty good, pretty good. Let's go ahead and measure the overall length of this knife. So we're looking at a knife that is, excuse me, exactly at 7 inches. So it's not super small, but it's not a full-size knife. So it's in that in-between range, right? I would call that in-between range. So if you didn't use the finger choil, you have 3.5 inches if you use this little part here. But if you use the full finger choil, which is absolutely functional, it's almost 4.5 inches. And let me tell you, here's me with large hands, right? I have room over here, and extra large would be able to use this little part comfortably. But using that finger choil, which works great even with big meaty fingers, you have all this extra room. So extra large, double extra large hands, no problem. The jimping here works really great, pretty aggressive, still catch it right here really well. Thumb studs are really out of the cutting path. You notice that? It's really nice. So when you're cutting, you're out of the path, you know, which is great. Sometimes thumb studs are way over here and they get in the path, and when you cut it, you just catches stuff. I think that's awesome. I think that's awesome. So I like that. I like that a lot. Oh, I didn't measure the blade length. I'm skipping along here. All right, let's do that real quick. Forgive me, guys. All right, so from the tip to the top of the handle, you're right at, I want to say 2 and I want to say 7/8 of an inch, right? Actual overall cutting length is going to be 2.5 inches. So you're 2.5 inch cutting length. So, you know, if you're only worrying about the blade, you're legal, but even at 2 and 7/8 inches, you're technically under 3 inches. Depends on someone wants to be real hard nosed with you. Just, you know, keep that in mind. But it's definitely in that realm of like almost, you know, 3 inches or less. So I think that's definitely worthwhile. All right, so let's go ahead and measure the blade stock thickness on this guy. All right, so blade stock thickness is 120 thousandths of an inch, 120 thousandths of an inch, or 0.12 inches, which is relatively, you know, it's robust enough, but not super thin, but not super thick. So it's a nice thin edge. It comes to a nice thin cutting edge, big belly here to cut with, definitely sharp edge, absolutely comes down here. It's going to be a beautiful slicer, absolutely functional, useful slicer. I like that a lot. All right, so the price of the knife is $80. $80. And so this falls absolutely into the budget realm. I would call this a budget knife at $80. I think you're just going to do great, great at this knife. So there you go, $80. I think it's great value. 14C28N, micarta handles, reversible, steel liners, really solid lockup. I mean, it's very functional. It's a really nice little knife. The action is great for the knife. I think at $80, you know, you can't really go wrong. And yeah, definitely a budget. All right, is it EDC? Absolutely. This is a really good use EDC. One thing I've noticed about KC's knives, his knives tend to be very useful types of knives. They're not just for aesthetics, you know, and sometimes you can have nice aesthetics, but they're not functional. His knives are very functional. They make me feel like it's intended to be hard use. It's intended for hard work, and that's what I feel like with this knife. This knife absolutely achieves that goal and states that goal and executes that goal. I feel like that's what this knife would do and will do. And if I had this one, if it was my collection, it would be one of my car knives. It would be something I would definitely hard use type of knife for sure. So I like it. I like it a lot because of that very, very reason. So it's definitely EDC hard use. Now, can I go out and chop wood and logs? And no, use fixed blades, use an axe, use the right tool. But if you're in a pinch, you know, I could cut some branches. I could cut dog food, cat food, mulch, fertilizer, you know, cases of water, absolutely all day long. Boxes, letters, envelopes, Christmas box. Yeah, this is a useful hard use in that regard. Is it a collection piece? You can collect whatever you want, but to me, no. Budget knives are not collection pieces. They're just meant to be used. And, you know, when they've had their life, then you get another one, right? And so to me, this is just a, you know, it's not really a collection piece. But you can collect whatever you want. Collect away if you want to. Design. Design is great. Everything's nicely rounded, chamfered all around the corners. When you do the squeeze test, there's nothing that burns in this thing. It choked up, not choked up. It's nice and solid in the hand. It doesn't feel like it's burning, cutting into anything. Works really well. The action is great. Getting to, you know, the liner lock is great. It drops on your finger. It doesn't feel like you're going to guillotine your finger. All that stuff is great. So opening, closing, all that stuff works just really, really fantastic. I like that. I like that a lot. So fidget factor, well, I've got thumb studs, right? So typically if it was just thumb studs like this, I mean, this might be a 2, right? Because the thumb studs are done really well. Easy to get to, easy to deploy, both right-handed and left-handed. So to me, you're not like, you know, ooh, I can barely get this knife open. Like a slip joint is a 1, right? Unless a slip joint has something that's a little like cooler, like a single nail nick slip joint is a 1, right? You can open it, you can close it. Sometimes your finger might slip, you might not get it open. A really fancy slip joint might be a 2, right? So this would be like a 2, but I've got the bonus flick. So I get over here, I can reverse flick. So to me, that gets this into the 3. So I'm gonna give it a 3 for fidgetability. I mean, for fidget factor, sorry. For the fidget factor scale, this gives it a 3. It does the thumb studs really well, you know, and it does, you know, the bonus flick really well. So to me, it gives it a 3. So as far as fidgety goodness for those, it is darn near 100%. I mean, the thumb studs work fantastic, right? They really do. And the drop is nice and safe. I'm not going to feel like I'm guillotining anywhere. I will tell you that, you know, middle finger reverse flick, everything is really nice. Sorry, you just got to get in there, and now it's brand new. Haven't used it. It's really polished. My fingers are dry. You know, that's the whole thing when you get that bonus flick. You got to make sure, you know, you get a good placement of your finger, and you know, your hands aren't dry and slippery, right? So, which mine are. It's late, it's in the house, it's dry, it's winter, starting to dry out. So that becomes a little more difficult to do some of that bonus flicking. So I'm going to give this 100%. I think it's great. It's great for what it does, for what you have. Out of that 3 out of 10, you get 100%. Full 3 out of 10, it's fully usable. So that's great. Overall thoughts, is it recommended? Absolutely, this one is recommended. I like this knife a lot. I think as a budget knife, this is a great knife. You can't go wrong. If the aesthetics speak to you, if you like the look of this knife, I do. I like the look of this knife. If you like the functionality of this knife, I love the swedge. It's going to be a great cutter. You can navigate. And if you don't know what a swedge is for, swedges allow you to turn cut into something heavy, like leather or plastic or cardboard. Without a swedge, it's harder to turn that blade because that flat part is pushing back. So when you want to turn this way, you're creating force that goes this way, and when it's flat, it's hitting that force, and that force is countering your desire to turn that way. When you have a swedge, there's less force that's going to be pushing, because instead of like pushing here where it's flat, it's going to be down here. So there's less force and you can turn more. So what it does, it allows you to turn that cut, right? So that's what the point of swedge. I like that. I think that's functional. It's helpful. It's good. It's what you want in a work tool. This is definitely, if I was working in a lot of boxes, I was cleaning up, I was working, you know, maybe putting up drywall, whatever, this would be a great knife just to use all day long. I think really, really, really nice. So yeah, it's definitely recommended because of that. So I think there's a lot of good things about this knife, and I would definitely recommend you guys to consider it. So it'll be in my recommended budget knives or budget knives category. Absolutely. Hey, what are your thoughts about this? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think I'm totally wrong? I'd love to hear your comments down below. Please let me know. I do look forward to hearing that from you guys. And if you have any thoughts or questions for the channel, for future Rob's Ramblings, I would love to hear from you. And hey, thanks so much for watching today. You know, if you like this video, would you consider hitting that like button? If you haven't already, and if you've already hit that like button, would you maybe consider hitting the subscribe button? Subscribing and liking the videos really helps out the channel, allows it to grow, produce more content, do more things, allows us just to do more things for you guys. So thank you very, very much. I really do appreciate that. If you've done all that, maybe consider hitting the notification button so you can be notified of future content, right? And to all my channel members, thank you. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. You rock. I appreciate you. You really help the channel so much, and I am so grateful to every one of you. If you haven't already considered being a channel member, there is a link down below in the description. I would love to have you as a channel member. It really will help the channel, allows this channel grow just to do more things, and I would be so grateful to you guys. Thank you. If you found all this, if you haven't already and you haven't checked me out, maybe go over on Instagram and check me out over at robs_nerdy_knives. Again, that's on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. Thanks so much for watching today. Have a great day and a great week.